Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 16.4 Developer Beta 2. This is available to developers now. iOS 16.4 Public Beta 2 should be a little bit later today or more likely tomorrow. Now this came in at 712.3 megabytes, that's on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and was about the same size on all the devices here. Along with this, Apple also released iPadOS 16.4 Beta 2, macOS 13.3 Beta 2, watchOS 9.4 Beta 2, as well as tvOS and HomePod OS 16.4 Beta 2. There are some changes and updates in this with new features. Let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go into Settings, go to General, then About. As you can see, the build number is 20E5223E. And this particular update does have a new modem update in it, at least for the 14 Pro Max for me. Now, if you're not seeing this update and you have the developer beta profile installed, that could be because you now need to be signed up for the developer program and have it linked to the Apple ID that you have on your device. If we go back into our software update page, under software update, you'll see that we now have some options. Now, initially, this actually told me that I wasn't in the beta program. Then it updated and it was correct. If you're not seeing it properly, turn it off, then go back and turn it on, and it should correct itself. Hopefully they'll get this right with the next beta update as well. Now, as far as the first new feature, let's go ahead and go into Settings, and you'll see this isn't really a feature, it's more of a change. And if we go into our display settings, and then under Display, go down to Always on Display, they've changed this around a little bit compared to Beta 1 that I have in my left hand on the iPhone 14 Pro. So if we go to Display and Brightness, go down to Always on Display, you'll see that they've just rearranged it and added some text. It also says the display will turn off automatically to save battery life when not in use. So you can adjust these settings however you'd like now. Within Books, there's a new option that many of us have wanted for quite some time. And within Books, you'll see on a book, tap on it to go to your options, tap the little icon in the bottom right here, and then go to Themes and Settings. Under Themes and Settings, you'll see a new icon here, and this will now allow you to adjust book pages to turn other than just slide and none. Finally, they've brought back curl. This is also found in Book Settings in the Settings page, but now when we turn the page, it's finally come back to where it actually curls as you turn the page like it would with a real book. It's something we had originally with the iPad a long time ago. They removed it and now it's finally been brought back. It's something a lot of people complained about. Now back under our settings, under General, then About, there's a new coverage option. This was there in Beta 1, but they've updated this. And under coverage, you can see here, there's new glyphs to represent each device. So whether it's an iPhone, an Apple Watch, AirPods Max, AirPods Pro, or even Powerbeats Pro, they're showing different icons that relate to the devices. It's not showing all my devices and showing some that it shouldn't be showing, but this hopefully will be updated with my Mac in here as well. Now, if we go into Settings, tap on your name at the top and then go to iCloud. Under iCloud, if you scroll down, there's a little bit of lag there, you'll see Advanced Data Protection. This is something we've had in the United States and then other countries for a while and is again being rolled out to additional areas. So for example, someone in the Netherlands is actually seeing this. If you're seeing this, let me know in the comments below. Back in Settings, if we go to Cellular, under Cellular Data, Voice and Data, you'll see that I have 5G standalone. This is showing for T-Mobile customers. I mentioned that in Beta 1, but now others are seeing it in Brazil as well. So on certain Brazilian carriers, they have 5G standalone. If we go over to Apple Wallet, Apple Pay is being introduced with iOS 16.4 in South Korea. All of the approvals are apparently there, and it should be introduced once this is available to the public. Also, the Apple Pay savings account should be coming soon as well. It's mentioned in the code over and over in iOS 16.4 Beta 2, and also there's mentions of digital ID as well with the Apple Wallet. So if we go to Done, and if we go to Driver's License and State ID, currently we only have Arizona, Colorado, and Maryland. It's up to the state to actually include this or a different country. We should see more of these soon, as many different states have said they're interested. So maybe we'll see that around the world very soon as well. Now, there's also a few things I wanted to mention that I didn't mention in the initial What's New video, as there's quite a few changes here. So if we go to Siri, go down to Siri and search, and then we change our language. Now, I showed this before. I showed that they updated Siri voices for Arabic, but they've also updated it for Hebrew as well. So if we go into Hebrew, change our language, then go back out, we actually have two new voices. So if we tap on voice 1, here's the first voice.
Hi, אני סירי. תבחרו את הקול שלי.
If we tap on voice 2, here's what it sounds like.
היי, אני סירי.
תבחרו את הקול שלי.
So those have been updated again for Arabic as well. I mentioned that in the follow-up video this past weekend. So those have been updated for everyone around the world with Beta 1 and Beta 2 of iOS 16.4. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention is if we go into sound and haptics, so in our settings, sound and haptics, there's personalized spatial audio. So it's found right here now. Instead of having to go into AirPod settings or Bluetooth settings, it's just right here. Also announced today was that iMessage can now work on Windows 11 if you're an insider. Now, this is something that's very limited, and if we go to their website, you'll see previewing phone link for iPhone users on Windows 11 with Windows Insiders. So this will allow you to text back and forth, but you won't be able to use group messages or send photos or video. But at least it's a step in the right direction, similar to what we get on Mac, but you'll be able to send messages. You won't see your usage history or your message history as well. But hopefully this will get updated so that iMessage can be used all over the place now. Also in the code is mentions of Apple Music Classical. So that's something we're waiting for. It's mentioned more and more within the Music app, and it's something that I think we're going to see fairly soon as they keep adding more to iOS. So maybe Apple Music Classical will show up as a separate app, but it does say you need Apple Music to be installed first, and then you can subscribe to it with an Apple Music subscription and maybe have Classical as well. There's also other mentions such as event services and rock, paper, scissors for messages. So that would be in messages. If we go in and maybe you would type rock, it would show a hand in a fist to represent a rock, such as it would be with the game. It might show up here where you could play that in iMessage. It may be something in the future that was in Beta 1 code as well. Now, one thing other people have mentioned has to do with the storage in iOS. A few people have mentioned to me that storage seems to be improved after they installed this update. It seemed to be freeing up a lot of storage. Now, I'm not seeing that myself, but I saw that on a couple different people's phones, and you'll see system data is taking up 51 gigabytes. Now, this is cached data, and it's fine that it's there. That's why it's at the bottom. It's using what's available to actually improve different things, whether that be maybe Safari history or just performance overall. But it's something that I wouldn't worry about, but let me know if it's improved for you as far as freeing up some additional storage that you have available. Also, a few things worth mentioning as far as bugs go is screen recording. Now, this may or may not be a bug, but if we go in and maybe record something, we'll just screen record here, swipe home, then go maybe to the next page and back, and then we'll stop the screen recording. Then we'll give it a second and we'll go into it. And within the screen recording, you can no longer get rid of the dynamic island if you have a 14 Pro or Pro Max. That's something that is showing, and maybe it's a bug, maybe it's on purpose, we don't really know. But if you don't want it to be there and you wanted to remove it, make sure you report that in feedback so Apple is aware. Also, other people have said that VPNs are now working properly in Beta 2, where maybe things like NordVPN and others weren't working properly, they should be working now. Also, the notification bug, where they were squared off a little bit, that seems to be fixed now with Beta 2. I haven't seen them do that. When you would bring down notifications, they would be squared off and then instantly round on the corners like they are right here. That seems to be fixed with Beta 2. Also, the swipe home bug and lag overall never returned with Beta 1 for me. So if we play a song here, swipe home, it doesn't seem to be super slow or laggy anymore. So that's something that definitely seems to be improved this time around compared to before. As far as what it will be like after a few days, though, we don't really know. Now, as far as the release notes, there's a few things worth mentioning. We'll go into the inbox, go to Beta 2 release notes. There's quite a few known issues here, 12 different known issues, such as watch migration might fail, restoring a backup to a new phone. And if we go down through, there's quite a few others. The iOS device that initiates the pairing, it needs to be on the same iCloud account with the Home Hub. So these are just bugs that are typical for developer betas. Just make sure that you are aware of this if you're going to try it yourself. There's also 11 resolved issues in here as well. So they've fixed a bunch of things. Many of them are related to code, but they have fixed quite a few things such as MapKit. They improved performance of MK overlay objects and other things here that have to do with code in different apps. So that's a good sign. Of course, they'll always continue to improve things. As far as overall performance, so far it seems very fast. It seems to be nice and smooth as we scroll back and forth. If we go into the app library and scroll fast, ProMotion seems to be nice and quick, as well as just the overall feel of the device. I noticed going into different applications, it seemed to be a little bit quicker. There's less delay, and maybe if you were adding something to favorites with that new animation or adding to a playlist, we'll just add the new animation. We'll add again, the new animation shows up instantly. It seems to be a little bit faster just doing things in general. So whether or not that's actually an improvement in performance or a code change is hard to say, but it definitely feels very fast. Also, the phone is staying nice and cool the whole time. I've heard this from multiple people, and while it shouldn't be too much of a concern as iOS manages heat overall, it does seem to be nice and cool. It's barely warm to the touch. As far as battery life, well, it will take a few days to measure that as always, but let's go ahead and take a look. Battery health and charging, we're at 98%. And also if we have clean energy charging enabled, of course that will work in different regions around the world. It doesn't work for everyone, but you can enable it or disable it. And it's just something a lot of people have been mentioning lately. As far as battery life itself, let's take a look. Yesterday, I had 2 hours and 32 minutes of screen active time, 14 hours and 38 minutes of screen idle time. I'm not sure why screen idle time was so high, but I used 50% of my battery with just 2.5 hours of use, which isn't great. Today, it's 4.5 hours or 4 hours and 36 minutes, and I haven't used 50% yet. So already it's improved, and I've only had this on here for a couple hours. So I think they've changed a few things in here. It definitely seems a little bit better. But be sure to come back on the weekend where I do a follow-up talking about the overall experience and how battery is. But it is a developer beta, and if you're wondering if you should install iOS 16.4 Beta 2, whether that be the developer or public beta, well, if it's a developer device, I'd say that's fine if you have a secondary device to try it out on. However, if it's your main device, you may want to hold off and see how it goes. I would typically recommend people stay on iOS 16.3.2 or 16.3.1 rather to see what it's like after a while and then maybe upgrade to the beta. The beta is something that is for testing and can have problems in it, so you may want to wait. As far as iOS 16.4 Public Beta 3 or Developer Beta 3, well, I think that'll probably be in 2 weeks at this point. Typically, it's every other week with early betas, and then it will go to a weekly schedule after that, usually after Beta 3. Apple could change this. We could see it as soon as next week, but we don't really know, as that's something they never really tell anyone in public. Also, iOS 16.4's public release, I would expect at the end of March or sometime in April. We are thinking there will be an Apple event, at least with a new MacBook Air or something else, sometime in March or April, like there is every year, or it could just be a press release. We don't really know, but we are expecting some new things, so usually an update will come out around that time. Also, iOS 16.5 has been found in website analytics recently by Mac Rumors, so we could see those betas maybe sooner than we thought. We might only get 4 betas or so with iOS 16.4, but again, we'll just have to wait and see week by week. Now, as far as the overall benchmarks, I did run those, and I ran that with Geekbench 6, which no longer has a history built up inside of it so that you can go back and easily reference it. So I took a screenshot of that, so let's take a look. And you can see today we had 2,520 for single core, 6,209 for multi-core. It's actually a little bit of an improvement compared to before, where we had 2,515 and 6,066. So it's a little bit of an improvement, but it does definitely feel a little bit faster. And so far, that's everything with iOS 16.4 Beta 2. Of course, if I find more, I'll be sure to let you know in the weekend follow-up. And if you've found anything else, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, it will be linked in the description as it always is. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching the video, and if you've stayed this far into the video, be sure to check out some of the other videos I have. And also, if there's anything else you'd like me to cover in the iOS updates, let me know in the comments below. Again, thanks for all your support and for watching. Be sure to check back for the next one.